Hey guys, new video here. The simulacrums have gone up in price because of the meta shift towards voices and the heraldry and the harbinger abuse. And so what they are now is 1 exalt. They used to be like 60C, 70C. You could buy a lot of them in bulk. Now if you want to buy one at a time, or if you want to buy like 10 at a time, it's going to be about 1 exalt at the time of this video. I'm going to bring it up right here. As you can see, here's all the listings on the official trade site. Now, what does this mean? Because you need 300 splinters for 1 simulacrum to create the thing, and for noobs, if you don't know how to create it, what you do is you just unstack 1, and then you stack on top of the 299. It'll create the simulacrum. What you can do is you can kind of in the back of your mind aim for getting more of these simulacrums. So what I've been doing this morning is I've been doing a little bit of testing because I noticed there was like a lot of variance in my splinter drops, right? After the last patch of last night, the splinters all drop at the end with the exception of things like Alba missions. She will still drop sometimes a lot of splinters for you to pick up, but most of the time, you end the delirium encounter, all the splinters drop in one pile. But what I noticed is I was like, sometimes I was getting 20, sometimes I was getting 15, sometimes I was getting 60 plus. One time I got 72 splinters in one map. And so I thought to myself, I was like, why is that happening? Why is it accounting for the variance? And this is just a very intro video. I only tested this on like 10 to 15 maps, right, and really tracked my returns. And so I know, keep in mind the sample size is very small, but this is a new video for what you should focus on if you want more. So when you're doing maps, the thing I noticed is that if you have an Alba on your maps, she is this lady right here, she's the temple lady. If you have an Alba on your maps and you are willing to wait around and pick up all those splinters, your average was consistently a little bit higher. And then another thing is conquer spawns. So conquer spawns, it somehow always boosted the number of splinters on average by way more than you usually get, right? Sometimes 3x the amount of splinters. Now, what does conquer spawn mean? It just means that these days the conquers are deterministic. So when you spawn one, right, the first one you'll never really know. You'll never really know what it is, but it doesn't really matter, right? Because what's going to happen is once you spawn it, you know exactly where the second and the third conquer is going to spawn. They're going to add a shit ton of mobs, 40 packs here, 30 packs here, and you can juice this up a little bit more if you're adding things like Beyond and other juicers like quantity, master missions, etc. Right? Even like things like maybe scarabs and stuff like that. So what I went ahead and did is I paid very close attention. This is just it's 69 by the way. That just dropped from the last malformation map. But what you should do is on a map that that a conquer is going to spawn, just pay attention, maybe add an Alba to that, right? Maybe add some map mod that's going to add monsters and really try to clear to the end, okay? I also tested out a few where I was very lackadaisical with the spawning of extra delirium mobs, and there are a few things that spawn, in my opinion, a lot of delirium mobs or high value delirium mobs. So that is, first, everybody knows the watermelons, right? The circles on the ground that look like watermelons, those things often spawn a lot of white mobs. They can spawn blue or rare mobs. There is a thing called the cocoon. It just looks like a spider cocoon. It's a white little web thingy. That thing can spawn blues and rares and white monsters as well. And then there is something called the rib cage. It's just like a giant rib cage that you can walk over, and that can spawn white, blue, and rare monsters. So what I noticed is that when I was actively hitting these three things, I will get a lot more splinters on average, okay? And yes, there is a little bit of backtracking because you can't always see them, right? There's a lot of shit going on the screen. And so what's going to happen is that as you are like looking out for these three things, you might not be perfectly efficient in the map. You might be backtracking because there's this really annoying thing where when you hit these monster spawn points, they take about a second to spawn. It's kind of weird, and then they have some iframes. You can't really damage them right away. It's super annoying sometimes. But I promise you, if you focus on these things, if you actively go out of the way to like just touch them and then hit all the monsters, I assure you that you will be getting a lot more splinters on average. To the point where I am pretty sure I haven't like counted the time or like the seconds that I spent clearing a map. That would be ridiculous, right? Like clearing a like timing a strand map and then timing one where I try to hit every watermelon, cocoon, and ribcage. But I can, from just anecdotal evidence, I can tell you that the loss of time for backtracking and hitting these 3 monster spawn points is well worth it in times of the money that you will get, because you're not always going to get 60 or 70, right? In my testing, out of like 10 to 15 maps, what I found is that I only got like 60 plus splinters like 3 or 4 times, right? But if you think about that, on average, it shifts your average number of splinters. Let's say you're getting like 40 splinters on average per map. Let's use easier numbers, right? Let's say you're getting 30 splinters on average per map, no matter what map you're in, because you're a little bit more focused on hitting the monster spawns and getting to the end, deeper into the delirium. And also, anecdotally, I believe that maps that have levels, tower, malformation, even barrel chambers, because it's longer and different sections, those, if you can get to the end of them, drop more splinters as well. And so if you get 30 on average, that's 10 maps for 1 exalt. So as a new player, 10 maps for 1 exalt is pretty darn good, because you're not only getting that 1 exalt every 10 maps, you're getting everything else that drops in the maps from the delirium monsters and the extra delirium spawns, right? And these are extremely liquid. Anyone who's tried to sell one recently, you'll probably find that within 5 minutes you can probably sell your simulacrums. People love doing these. They do take a lot longer, so there's not as much liquid demand as the delirium orbs or anything like that, but they do sell very fast, and it's realized money. It's not something that you're gonna be like, will it actually sell? Will it actually make the money? You will make that money, and I'd say as a noob, you can kind of bank on, if you really focus on getting your splinters and completing the delirium fog, you can probably make an extra exalt here and there every 10 or so maps, right? At least. So I hope that helps some of you guys out. Really pick up those splinters and really focus on hitting those monster spawn points. Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for watching my video. Bye everyone. Bye.